why is the sneaker culture, and I want to know this because I don't know it. Why
Yeah.
is it so important in the world? Why is it such a thing?
I I think like it's always been a thing. Like there's like in music and hip hop especially, right? Like Jordans and Air Maxes, and it's a status symbol in the cities, especially in like New York, right? Like the shoes become something, and this it's like film and everything. It's the story of what makes the shoe, and its context and history that'll like let it live on, right? Like Jordan hasn't played a meaningful game in 25 years, but kids are like all about that. They're like they're buying shoes that they have no idea what they are, and it's because somebody's told a story, or somebody, especially like early rappers, they like explain their struggle and their hustle to get these pairs of shoes, right? Like this dude sold $300 worth of drugs when he was 16 and decided to buy a pair of shoes over something else, and then that becomes revered and revered. Um, and then it became a resale game at a lot of various points. So a lot of like entrepreneurs, especially when you're younger and from the city, then it's all about kind of hustling now, right? Buying $100 pair of the shoes and selling it for 150, buying two pairs, selling one so you can keep the other ones for free, And I think that becomes a big part of the culture, and then it becomes an extension of art also, right? Like the colorways, the materials, the scarcity, the only way to really acknowledge that, right, to communicate to somebody else, like, yeah, I've like I know what's going on because I'm wearing these shoes, right? So you're communicating, and it becomes like at a party, you're just like, yeah, that person knows what's up. It's a way to like,
Fire.
yeah, exactly. It's a way to kind of represent, not represent, yeah, yourself to the world, to communicate that you're about this culture.
I can imagine that there's levels to this shit too, right? To the game, to
There are
this.
crazy levels. There are crazy levels, and social media has really changed things. Like, I when I was in high school and college, I was buying shoes, and I remember spending like $100 on a pair of shoes, and my family's just looking at me like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "No, they'll resell for like what, $200, right?" And they were like, "After you've worn them, they're still gonna resell for $200." I was like, "Yeah, as long as I wear them a couple of times only or whatever." I remember one time coming home with a pair of $1,500 shoes. I was Nikes. I was 18. I was going to community college, and my dad's looking at me like, "You spent what?" They're called the pairs, if you ever find them. They're these Nike Dunk skateboarding shoes. They were $1,500 at the time, and I sold them. I wore them maybe once, and I sold them for like $2,000, maybe 3 years later, and it was like genius. Now $80,000.
Oh my god.
You could, like, I had this like massive collection of shoes that when I moved to Vietnam, I sold off a bunch, right? Because I was trying to be a minimalist, and I was trying to like think about I was trying to think about like, I only want to have the possessions that could fit in a suitcase. Like that's my life, or in a bag. And now I'm like, I could have bought a house on just
Shoes.
a third of my collection, not even like my whole thing. And there's things like Travis Scott will wear a pair of shoes and he'll put them on an Instagram story, and the value will go up $1,000 or up 2,000. And they're just random shoes. And he's like in his 20s, I believe, is trying to rep shoes from the mid 2000s, because he's like, I'm an OG because I wanted these shoes when I was 14 and couldn't afford them. And here they are. And so he's trying to communicate or harken that he knows what's up.
That's like a meta. That's a meta shit, right? Because it's
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
I belong to that when
Yeah,
like it's some inception shit. Like
it is. And so now there are people who are holding entire collections and stockpiles of stuff, waiting for a dude to tweet or Instagram story his outfit, and it changing the value of whatever. It's just, it makes no sense, but you know, it's what it is. It's crazy.
are you still into the car culture and the sneaker culture?
I am a little older though, but like I have to struggle because I know how little like anybody gets paid on the process of this, you know? And so like when I had moved to Vietnam, I brought like all my cool Air Maxes with me and stuff like that. I was like, man, I'm gonna be flossing on this. And I remember my secretary at the school was like, don't wear those shoes. Like they're like they treat people so terribly. And I knew about fast fashion, but I never really thought about fast fashion, you know? And and then like I had when I was living in Vietnam, I had to go see it. I had to go be like, where are they making this? Like, what are the living? And so like starting to gain perspective of like this really did cost $1 to make. You know, there's a dude in New York who got stabbed on these shoes for what a kid made for $1, maybe. You know, it's just it's weird. It's like you want to be conscious and you want to like be like a good sustainable consumer and stuff, and you want to preach and practice these things. But yeah, I still like shoes and I still like cars, unfortunately. These things that are like not great for the economy. And like and with like our people in like a major disproportion of like the bad end of this, right? Like we have no benefit from this except I'm like, yeah, but that dude at the McDonald's, he saw me, you know, he saw me wear this rare colorway when I got out of my car for 2 seconds to get a Big Mac. Like, it's so stupid.
Levels to everything, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's a game.
So